Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to Genesis 41 to 45, Proverbs 30, and Psalm 121. Let's get started. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. In his dream, he was standing by the Nile River. 7 cows came up out of the river. They looked healthy and fat. They were eating some of the tall grass growing along the river. After them, 7 other cows came up out of the Nile. They looked ugly and skinny. They were standing beside the other cows on the riverbank. The ugly, skinny cows ate up the 7 cows that looked healthy and fat. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. In that dream, 7 heads of grain were growing on one stick. They were healthy and good. After them, 7 other heads of grain came. They were thin and dried up by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning he was worried, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could tell him what they meant. Then the chief scientist spoke up. He said to Pharaoh, "Now remember that I've done something wrong." Pharaoh was once angry with his servants. He put me and the chief baker in prison. We ran the house of the captain of the palace guard. Each of us had a dream the same night. Each dream had its own meaning. The young Hebrew servant was there with us. He was a servant of the captain of the guard. He told him our dreams, and he explained them to us. He told each of us the meaning of our dream. Things turned out exactly as he said they would. I was given back my job. The other man had a pole stuck through his body. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph. He was quickly brought out of the prison. Joseph shaved and changed his clothes. Then he came to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I had a dream, but no one can tell me what it means. But I've heard that when you hear a dream, you can explain. I can't do it," Joseph replied to the Pharaoh, "but God will give Pharaoh the answer he wants." Then Pharaoh told Joseph what he had dreamed. He said, "I was standing on the bank of the Nile River. 7 cows came up out of the river. They were fat and looked healthy. They were eating the tall grass growing along the river. After them, 7 other cows came up. They were bony and very ugly and thin. I had never seen such ugly cows in the whole land of Egypt. The thin, ugly cows ate of the 7 fat cows that came up first, but no one could tell that the thin cows had eaten the fat cows. That's because the thin cows looked just as ugly as they had before." Then I woke up. In my dream, I also saw 7 heads of grain. They were full and good. They were all growing on one stick. After them, 7 other heads of grain came up. They were weak and thin and dried up by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told my dream to the magician, and none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, "Both of Pharaoh's dreams have the same meaning. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. Both dreams mean the same thing. The 7 thin, ugly cows that came up later are 7 years. So are the 7 worthless heads of grain dried up by the east wind. There are 7 years when there won't be enough food. It's just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he's about to do. 7 years with plenty of food are coming to the whole land of Egypt. But 7 years will come when there won't be enough food for them. Then everyone will forget about all the food Egypt had. Terrible hunger will destroy the land. There won't be anything left to remind people of the years when there was plenty of food in the land. That's how bad the hunger that follows will be." God gave the dream to Pharaoh in 2 forms. That's because the matter has been firmly decided by God, and it's because God will do it soon. So Pharaoh should look for a wise and understanding man. He should put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Pharaoh should appoint officials to be in charge of the land. They should take 1/5 of the harvest in Egypt during the 7 years, when there's plenty of food. They should collect all the extra food of the good news that are coming. Pharaoh should give them authority to store up the grain. They should keep it in their cities for food. The grain should be stored up for the country to use later. It will be needed during the 7 years when there isn't enough food in Egypt. Then the country won't be destroyed just because it doesn't have enough food. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and all his officials. So Pharaoh said to them, "The Spirit of God is in this man. We can't find anyone else like him, can we?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "God has made all this known to you, and no one is as wise and understanding as you are. You will be in charge of my palace. All my people must obey your orders. I will be greater than you only because I'm the one who sits on the throne." So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "God has made all this known to you. No one is as wise and understanding as you are. You will be in charge of my palace. As my people must obey your orders, I will be greater than you." So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am putting you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his finger from his finger, the ring he used to give his official stamp. He put it on Joseph's finger. He just him in rope made out of fine linen. He put a gold chain around Joseph's neck. He also had him ride in a chariot. Joseph was now next in command after Joseph. People went in front of Joseph and shouted, "Get down on your knees." By doing all these things, Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but unless you give an order, no one will do anything in the whole land of Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphenath-Paneah. He gave Joseph a wife. She was Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar. Potiphar was the priest of On. Joseph traveled all over the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he began serving Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. He left Pharaoh's palace and traveled all over Egypt. During the 7 years, there was plenty of food. The land produced more than the people needed. Joseph collected all the extra food produced in those 7 years in Egypt. He stored it in the cities. In each city, he stored out the food grain in the fields around it. Joseph stored up huge amounts of grain. There was as much of it as the sand by the sea. There was so much grain it couldn't be measured. So Joseph stopped keeping records of it. Before the years when there wasn't enough food, 2 sons were born to Joseph. He had them by Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar. Potiphar was the priest of On. Joseph named his first son Manasseh. That's because he said, "God has made me forget all my trouble and my father's whole family." He named the second son Ephraim. That's because he said, "God has given me children in the land where I've suffered so much." The 7 years when there was plenty of food in Egypt came to an end. Then the 7 years when there wasn't enough food began. It happened just as Joseph had said it would. There wasn't enough food in any of the other land, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all the people of Egypt began to get hungry, they cried out to Pharaoh for food. And he told all the Egyptians to go to Joseph, do what he tells you. There wasn't enough food anywhere in the country, so Joseph opened the storerooms. He sold grain to the Egyptians because people were very hungry all over Egypt. People from all over the world came to Egypt. They came to buy grain from Joseph. That's because people were very hungry everywhere. Jacob found out that there was grain in Egypt, so he said to his sons, "Why do you just keep looking at one another? I've heard there's grain in Egypt. Go down there, buy some for us, then we'll live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to Egypt to buy grain there. But Jacob didn't send Joseph's brother Benjamin with him. He was afraid Benjamin might be harmed. Israel's sons were among the people who went to buy grain. There wasn't enough food in the land of the king. Joseph was the governor of the land. He was the one who sold grain to all his people. When Joseph's brothers were, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger. He spoke to them in a mean way. "Where do you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan," they replied. "We've come to buy food." Joseph recognized his brothers, but they didn't recognize him. Then Joseph remembered his dreams about them, so he said to them, "You're spies. You've come to see the places where our land isn't going very well. No, said the answer. We've come to buy food. All of us are the sons of one man. We're honest men. We aren't spies. No, he said to them. You have come to see the places where our land isn't guarded very well. But they replied, we were 12 brothers. All of us were the sons of one man. We lived in the land of Canaan. Our youngest brother is now with our father. And one brother is gone. Joseph said to them, I still say you are spies. So I'm going to test you. And here's the test. You can be sure that you won't leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. You can be just as sure of this as you were sure that Pharaoh lives. I give you my word that you won't leave here unless your brother comes. Send one of you back to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison. I'll test your words. Then we'll find out whether you are telling the truth. You can be sure that Pharaoh lives. And you can be just as sure that if you aren't telling the truth, we'll know that you are spies. So Joseph kept all of them under guard for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph spoke to them again. He said, do what I say, then you will live, because I have respect for God. If you are honest men, take one of your brothers. Let one of your brothers stay here in prison. The rest of you may go and take grain back to your hungry families. But you must bring your youngest brother to me. That will prove that your words are true. Then you won't die. So they did what he said. They said to one another, God is surely punishing us because of our brother. We saw how upset he was when he begged us to let him live. But we wouldn't listen. That's why all this trouble has come to us. Reuben replied, didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now I'm being paid back for killing him. They didn't realize that Joseph couldn't understand what they were saying. He was using someone else to explain their laws to him in the Egyptian language. Joseph turned away from his brothers and began to weep. Then he came back and spoke to them again. He had Simeon taken and tied up right there in front of him. Joseph gave orders to have their bags filled with grain. He had each man's money put back into his sack. He also made sure they were given food for their journey. Then the brothers loaded the grain on their donkeys and bags. When night came, they stopped. One of them opened his sack to get food for his donkey. He saw his money in the top of the sack. My money has been given back, he said to his brother. Here it is in my sack. They had a sinking feeling in their hearts. They began to tremble. They turned to one another and said, what has God done to us? They came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. They told him everything that had happened to them. They said, the man who was the governor of the land spoke to us in a mean way. He treated us as if we were spying on the land. But we said, we honest men, we aren't spies. We were 12 brothers. All of us were the sons of one brother, but now one brother is gone, and our youngest brother is with our father in Canaan. Then the man who was the governor of the land spoke to us. He said, here's how I know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me. Take food for your hungry families and go. Now bring your youngest brother to me. Then I will know that you are honest men and not spies. I will give your brother back to you. Then you will be free to trade in the land. They began emptying their sacks. Then each man's sack was his bag of money. When they and their father saw the money bag, they were scared to death. Their father Jacob said to them, you have taken my children away from me. Joseph is gone. Simeon is gone. Now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is going against me. Then Reuben spoke to his father. He said, you can put both my sons to death if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. Just need to take care of him. I'll bring him back. But Jacob said, my son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead. He's the only one left here with me. Suppose he's harmed on the journey you are taking. Then I will die as a sad old man. There still wasn't enough food anywhere in the land. After a while, Jacob's family had eaten all the grain the brothers had brought from Egypt. So their father said to them, go back, buy a little more food. But Judah said to him, the man gave us strong one. He said, you won't see my face again unless your brother Benjamin is with you. So send our brother along with us. Then we'll go down and buy food for you. If you won't send him, we won't get down. The man said to us, you won't see my face again unless your brother is with you. Israel, why did you bring this trouble to me? Why did you tell the man you had another brother? The man questioned us closely about ourselves and our families. He asked us, Is your father still living? Do you have another brother? We just answered his question. How could we possibly know he would bring your brother down here? Judah spoke to Israel, his father. Send the boy along with me, he said. We'll go right away. Then we and you and our children will live and not die. I myself promise to keep him good safe. You can blame me if I don't bring him back to you. I'll set him right here in front of you. If I don't, you can put the blame on me for the rest of my life. As it is, we've already waited too long. We could have made the trip to Egypt and back twice by now. When their father Israel spoke to them, he said, if that's the way it is to be, then do what I tell you. Put some of the best things from the land in your bags, and take them down to the man as a gift. Take some lotion and a little honey. Take some spices and myrrh. Take some pistachio nuts and almonds. Take twice the amount of money with you. But you have to give back the money that was put in your sacks. Maybe it was a mistake. First take your brother. Go back to the man at once. May the mighty God cause him to show mercy. May the man let your other brother and Benjamin come back with you. And if I lose my sons, I lose them. So the men took the gifts. They took twice the amount of money. They also took Benjamin. They hurried down to Egypt and went to Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he spoke to the manager of his house. Take these men to my house, he said. Kill an animal and prepare a meal. I want them to eat with me at noon. The manager did what Joseph told him to do. He took the men to Joseph's house. They were frightened when they were taken to Joseph's house. They thought, we were brought here because of the money that was put back in our sacks. The first time, he wants to attack us and overpower us. Then he can hold us as slaves and take our donkeys. So they went up to Joseph's manager. They spoke to him at the entrance to the house. They said, we came down here the first time to buy food. We opened our sacks at the place where we stopped for the night. Each of us found in our sacks the exact amount of money we have paid. So we've brought it back with us. We've also brought more money with us to buy food. We don't know who put our money in our sack. It's all right, the manager said. Don't be afraid. Your God, the God of your father, has given you riches in your sacks. I received your money. Then he brought Simeon out. The manager took the men into Joseph's house. He gave them water to wash their feet. He provided food for their donkeys. The brothers prepared their gifts for Joseph. He was planning to arrive at noon. They had heard that they were going to eat them. When Joseph came home, they gave him the gifts that they had brought into the house. He bowed down low in front of them. They bowed down low in front of him. He asked them how they were. They said, How old is your old father you told me about? Is he still living? They replied, Your servant and our old father is alive and they bowed down to show him honor. Then Joseph looked around and he saw his brother, his own mother's son. He asked, Is this your youngest brother? Is he the one you told me about? He continued, May God be gracious to you, my son. It moved him deeply to see his brother. So Joseph hurried in and looked for a place to cry. He went into his own room and cried there. Then he washed his face and came out. He calmed down and said, Serve the food. They served Joseph by himself. They served their brothers by themselves. They also served the Egyptians who ate with Joseph by themselves. Because of their belief, Egyptians couldn't eat with Hebrews. Their brothers had been given places in front of Joseph. They had been seated in the order of their ages, from the oldest to youngest. That made them look at each other in great surprise. While they were eating, some food was brought to them from Joseph's table. Benjamin was given 5 times as much as everyone else. So all Joseph's brothers ate and drank along with him. Joseph told the manager of his house what to do. Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, he said. Put each man's money in the sack, then put my silver cup in the youngest one's sack. Put it there along with the money he paid for his grain. So the manager did what Joseph told him to do. When morning came, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys. They hadn't gone very far from the sea when Joseph spoke to his men. Go after those men right away, he said. Catch up with them. Satan, my master is good to you. Why have you paid him back by doing evil? Isn't this my cup, the cup my master drinks from? Doesn't he also use it to find things out? You have done an evil thing. When the manager caught up with them, he told them what Joseph had said. But they said to him, why do you say these things? We will never do anything like that. We even brought back to you from King the money we found in our sacks. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If you find out that any of us has the cup, he will die, and the rest of us will become his slaves. All right then, he said, as you would. The one found to have the cup will become my slave, but the rest of you will not be blamed. Each of them quickly put his sack down on the ground and opened it. Then the manager began to search. He began with the oldest and ended with the youngest. The cup was found in Benjamin's sack. When that happened, they were so upset they tore their clothes. All of them loaded their donkeys and went back to the city. Joseph was still in the house when Judah and his brothers came in. They threw themselves down on the ground in front of him. Joseph said to them, what have you done? Don't you know that a man like me has ways to find things out? What can we say to you? Judah replied. What can we say? How can we prove we haven't done anything wrong? God has shown you we are guilty. We are now your slaves. All of us are, including the one found to have the cup. But Joseph said, I will never do anything like that. Only the man found to have the cup will become my slave. The rest of you may go back to your father in peace. Then Judah went up to him. He said, please, sir, let me speak a word to you. Don't get angry with me, even though you are equal to Pharaoh himself. He asked us, do we have a father or a brother? We answered, we have an old father. A young son was born to him when he was old. His mother is dead. He is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him. Then he said to us, bring him down to me. I want to see him for myself. We said to you, the boy can't leave his father. If he does, his father will die. But you told us, your youngest brother must come down here with you. And if he doesn't, you won't see my face again. So we went back to my father. We told him what you had said. Then our father said, go back, buy a little more food. So we said, we can't go down. We will only go if our youngest brother goes there with us. We can't even see the man's face unless our youngest brother goes with us. Your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife had 2 sons by me. One of them went away from me, and I said, he must have been torn to pieces. I haven't seen him since. And what if you take this one from me too, and he is hung? Then you'll cause me to die with a sad old man. I will go down into the grave and full of pain and suffering. So now what will happen if the boy isn't with us when I go back to my father? His life depends on the boy's life. When he sees that the boy isn't with us, he will die. Because of us, he will go down into the grave as a sad old man. I promised my father that I would keep the boy safe. I said, Father, I'll bring him back to you. If I don't, you will put the blame on me for the rest of my life. Now then, please let me stay here. I'll be your slave in place of the boy. Let the boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy isn't with me? No, don't let me see the pain and suffering that would come to my father. Joseph couldn't control himself anymore in front of all his attendants. He cried out, have everyone leave me. So there wasn't anyone with Joseph when he told his brothers who it was. He wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard. Everyone in Pharaoh's house heard about it. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers weren't able to answer him. They were too afraid of him. Joseph said to his brothers, come and close me. So they did. Then he said, I am your brother Joseph. I'm the one you sold into Egypt. But don't be upset, and don't be angry with yourself because you saw me here. God has sent me ahead of you to save many lives. For 2 years now, there hasn't been enough food in the land. And for the next 5 years, people won't be planting and gathering crops. But God sent me ahead of you to keep some of you alive on earth. He sent me here to save your lives by an act of mighty power. So then, it wasn't you who sent me here. It was God. He made me like a father to Pharaoh. He made me master of Pharaoh's entire house. God made me ruler of the whole land of Egypt. Now hurry back to my father. Say to him, your son Joseph says, God has made me master of the whole land of Egypt. Come down to me. Don't waste any time. I will live in the area of Goshen. Your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and everything that you have will be near me. Then I will provide everything you need. There are still 5 years to come when there won't be enough food. If you don't come down here, you and your family and everyone who belongs to you will lose everything. My brothers, I am Joseph. You can see for yourselves that I am the one speaking to you. My brother Benjamin can see it too. Tell my father about all the honor given to me in Egypt. Tell him about everything you've seen. And bring my father down here quickly. Then Joseph threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and wept. Benjamin also hugged him and wept. Joseph kissed all his brothers and wept over them. After that, his brothers talked up with him. The news reached Pharaoh's palace that Joseph's brothers had come. Pharaoh and all his officials were pleased. Pharaoh said to Joseph, here's what I want you to tell your brothers. Say to them, my dear, return to the land of Canaan. Bring your father and your families back to me. I'll give you the best land in Egypt. You can enjoy all the good things in the land. And here's something else I want you to tell them. Say to them, take some cards for me. Your children and your wives can use them. Go to your father and come back. Don't worry about the things you have back there. The best of everything in Egypt will belong to me. Then the sons of Israel did so. Joseph gave them cards as Pharaoh had commanded. He also gave them supplies for the journey. He gave new clothes to each of them, but he gave Benjamin more than 7 pounds of silver. He also gave him 5 sets of clothes. He sent his father 10 male donkeys loaded with the best things from Egypt. He also sent 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and other supplies for his journey. Then Joseph sent his brothers away. As they were leaving, he said to them, don't argue on the way. So they went up out of Egypt. They came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. They told him, Joseph is still alive. In fact, he is the ruler of the whole land of Egypt. Jacob was shocked. He didn't believe them. So they told him everything Joseph had said. Jacob saw the carts Joseph had sent to carry him back. That gave new life to their father Jacob. Israel said, I believe it now. My son Joseph is still alive. I'll go and see him before I die. Proverbs 13. These sayings are the words of Agar, son of Jacob. These sayings came from God. This man said to Israel, I am very God, but I can still success. Surely I am only a dumb animal and not a man. I don't understand as other men do. I haven't learned wisdom, and I don't know the things the Holy One knows. Who has gone up to heaven and come down? Whose hands have gathered up the wind? Who has wrapped up the waters in a cloud? Who has set in place all the boundaries of the earth? What is his name? What is his son's name? Surely you know. Every word of God is perfect. He is like a shield to those who trust in him. He keeps them safe. Don't add to his word. If you do, he will correct you. He will prove that you are alive. Lord, I ask you for 2 things. Don't refuse me before I die. Keep my far away from me. Don't make me either poor or rich, but give me only the bread I need each day. If you don't, I might have too much. Then I might say I don't know. I might say, who is the Lord? Or I might become poor and steal. Then I will bring shame to the name of my God. Don't tell lies about a servant when you talk to their master. If you do, they will curse you, and you will pay for your lies. Some people will curse their father. Others don't bless their mothers. Some appear in their own eyes, but their dirty sins haven't been washed away. Some have eyes that are very proud. Some, they look down. Some people have teeth like swords. Their teeth and their jaws are sharp as knives. They are ready to eat up the poor people of the earth. They are ready to eat up those who are the most needy. They'll each is 2 dollars. They cry, give, give. 3 things are never satisfied. 4 things never say enough. The first is the grain. The second is a woman who can't have a baby. The third is land, which never gets enough water. And the fourth is fire, which never says enough. One person makes fun of their father. Another doesn't honor their mother when she is old. The ravens of the valley will peck out their eyes. Then the vultures will eat them. 3 things are too amazing for me. There are 4 things I don't understand. The first is the way of an eagle in the sky. The second is the way of a snake on a rock. The third is the way of a ship on the ocean. And the fourth is the way of a man with a young woman. This is the way of a woman who commits adultery. She eats and wipes her mouth. Then she says, I haven't done anything wrong. Under 3 things the earth shakes. Under 4 things you can't stand up. But the first is a servant who has become a king. The second is a foolish and an ungodly person who gets plenty to eat. The third is a mean woman who gets married. And the fourth is a servant who takes the place of the woman she works for. 4 things on earth are small, but they are very wise. The first are ants, which are very strong, but they store their food in the sun. The second are hyraxes, which are very powerful, but they make their home among the rocks. The third are locusts, which don't have a king, but they all match water bricks. And the fourth are liches, which are hand can cat, but you'll find them in kings' palaces. 3 things walk as if they were kings. 4 things move as kings do. The first is lion, which is mighty among the animals. It doesn't back away from anything. The second is a rooster, which walks proudly. The third is a billy goat, and the fourth is a king, who is secure against any minor opponent. Do you do false things? Do you think you are better than others? Do you plan evil? If you do, put your hand over your mouth and stop talking. If you churn cream, you will produce butter. If you twist a nose, you will produce blood. And if you stir anger, you will produce a fire. Psalm 121. I look up to the mountain. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. He is the maker of heaven and earth. He won't let your foot slip. He who watches over you won't get tired. In fact, he who watches over Israel won't get tired or go to sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is like a shade tree at your right hand. The sun won't harm you during the day. The moon won't harm you during the night. The Lord will keep you from every kind of harm. He'll watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your life, no matter where you go, both now and forever. Now that's done, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Please bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.